In China, there has been a spike in cases of pneumonia in children. China says the surge is linked to circulation of several types of pathogens, mainly influenza. But this wave of pneumonia outbreak, it has the world on edge, and for good reason. It's brought back memories of the mystery pneumonia outbreak back in 2019 in Wuhan, one that later came to be recognized as the harbinger of the COVID-19 pandemic. So understandably, this wave, it's raised concerns, and the fact that the Netherlands too reported cases of pneumonia in children soon after does not inspire much confidence. And in light of this, New Delhi, it's leaving no stone unturned to be better prepared this time around. Several states, in a proactive approach, are overhauling their medical infrastructure to ensure better surveillance and preparedness. As is the case with China, always there appears to be a lack of transparency with regards to this outbreak. My name is Hem Kaur Saroya, and to discuss this, we have with us Dr. Vivek Nangia, Chief of Pulmonology, Critical Care, Max Healthcare India. Thank you so much for joining us, Doctor.
Thank you.
Now, Doctor, to begin with, the spike in pneumonia cases in China, do you see this as an ominous sign, especially since there were also reports of a surge in pneumonia cases from the Netherlands?
Actually, going back into history, for 2019 also, China started like this only, giving us only some information about the pneumonia, not the complete one. And the significant part here is, again, that we don't know what virus or bacteria is causing it. Of course, they have attributed it to a series of bacteria like Mycoplasma pneumoniae, then some viruses like influenza, COVID. But are they all different etiological agents, or is it one common agent and then these are being secondarily isolated? We still don't know. So I don't think we have the complete information with us yet. So we just need to be very careful about it and keep watching it very, very carefully.
Absolutely. So in fact, I was going to come to this. Information on what sparked this wave of illnesses, that is scant. China blames it on circulation of virus pathogens simultaneously. Of course, this brings back memories of the outbreak back in 2019, as you mentioned as well. What's your assessment of how this might play out?
So it is really very difficult to say. See, what happens is whenever there's an outbreak like this, there are two things that we need to keep in mind. That the outbreak usually happens when people do not have a good immunity towards the virus. And that usually happens when it's a new onset virus. So we're just hoping that there's no new bug that has got created. There was also a rumor in between that there's an H9N2 being attributed to it. H9N2 is a kind of an influenza virus, which also has its origin in the animals, in the poultry, basically. So again, if there is a recombination of some kind of a strain in the poultry and has then spilled over into humans, then there's always a risk of it spreading rapidly. So two things, as I said, which are important for us to note are whenever there's an outbreak, it has to be some new virus which has come into the environment, into our the environment around us. And second is that we have no exposure to that kind of an immunity. As a result, we are facing the brunt of this illness.
Right. Now, Indian states are on high alert as well. Several states are taking stock of medical infrastructure to be better prepared if this does spill over into neighboring states. At this point, what cautionary steps can states take, and what does this overhaul of the medical infrastructure entail?
So one is basically we need to go into surveillance activities where we need to keep monitoring that what is the kind of virus or bacteria that is spreading in our country as well. We are also going through a surge where there is a rise in the influenza-like illnesses, which we're attributing to common cold and cough, which again could be because of influenza, could be because of COVID or any other virus, RSV virus, pneumovirus, rhinovirus. So there's so many viruses that could be causing it. So it becomes very important for us to now have a regular surveillance plan in place for the entire country, where you could be observing what kind of viral strains are prevailing in the society. One is that. Second thing that I would want to strongly recommend to everybody is that as soon as you come down with a cold and cough, you should isolate yourself. Irrespective of it's a common cold you feel or it's an allergy, because ultimately this is our social responsibility towards the people around us, towards our loved ones, towards our family, our colleagues. Isolating yourself till your acute phase is over is very, very essential, whatever it may be. For somebody who's healthy, it may just be a mild infection, but somebody who is an immunocompromised state or elderly or has been under chemotherapy on steroids or those kind of medicines which suppress your immunity, in them, even a mild infection can turn out to be very severe and life-threatening. Third is that I think we should go back to our social distancing, not going to overcrowded places, avoiding parties, large gatherings. Fourth is that we should follow cough etiquette. So even if you have a mild cough, you should always cough in your in your arm, in your sleeve, and not openly without any hanky or a tissue paper with you. And of course, the highly vulnerable group, that is the elders, the youngsters less than 5 years of old, 5 years of age, those who are suffering with any comorbidity should also be getting the influenza vaccine, which will prevent you from catching this common cold also.
All right. Now, of course, there are concerns that China is yet again looking the other way, perhaps risking states across the globe. Do you think the world is prepared for yet another health scare, considering states have just started to emerge from the stranglehold of COVID-19?
See, whatever we may say or do, if there's a surge like COVID-19, then again, we can never be prepared for it. Whatever preparation we may put into place, you can never be prepared for it. Like even in India, if you remember in the initial part, 2019, 2020 beginning, we were quite all right with the kind of number of cases that were happening. But then suddenly in May, April 2021, there was a Delta wave which came, which devastated all of us completely. So you can never really be prepared. Despite all your preparation, the devastation can be huge. But yes, we are definitely better off than we were then.
Right. Now, of course, the WHO too has demanded more information on this outbreak. How do you see this playing out in that regard? What I mean by this is, what sort of information are we looking at here, and how would that help?
So basically, I think WHO needs to play a greater role now, get the exact information as to what virus or what bacteria or what pathogen is really circulating. It is most likely some kind of virus only, because bacterial infections usually don't spread so rapidly. Second is that they'll have to ensure that there is adequate control measures being taken in China to control the spread of the infection to other parts of China and other parts of the world as well. So these are the two things that they need to be actively involved in, and be able to caution all of us as to what next we can do to prevent this from coming into our country.
All right. Well, Dr. Nangia, thank you so much for joining us on WION with your insights on this.
Thank you.